Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Marina here as always, and it's so nice to come to you in another video. If it's your first time here, welcome. Please do well to watch other videos, and if it's content that resonates with you, don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button and join the family. To the returning subscribers, always so nice to have you guys come back every time I upload a new video. Well, first I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. Like, the messages have been pouring everywhere. The congratulatory messages have been very overwhelming. The show of love, the outpouring of support, I appreciate that so much, you guys. I don't take it for granted at all. And today's video was actually triggered by some responses that I got when I posted. If you're new here and you don't know what I'm referring to, you're going to need to please check out a couple of videos back. I recently got named as top 100 black women to watch for in Canada 2023. I have shared that in a couple of posts on this channel, and there have been a lot of messages. So on the day of the award, I put up a picture on my WhatsApp status. I'm getting more comfortable posting things there. Thank you to the people who have influenced me, you know yourselves. So I posted a photo there, and I got a comment from somebody who just said, congratulations, I'm so happy to see you winning. Like, this year has just been you winning, and I'm tapping into this. I'm paraphrasing the message now. I'm tapping into this because for me it has just been like I'm in my valley season, and I'm encouraged to see you in your winning season. And I thought, okay, I appreciate the good wishes, but is that really accurate that I'm in my winning season? Because that's what I share, that's what I show you guys. And then I thought, okay, am I misleading people by just coming to share these wins and not talk about the other side? I've talked about a couple of the other struggles that I've had on this channel, but I haven't really told you guys a number of things that have happened in this 2023 year. Like, 2023 came for my mind, you guys, and I thought maybe it's a good time to just provide like a life update and give you guys some behind the scenes of what has been happening in 2023, so that you can have a balanced picture of when you see me share those things that are my wins. You will know that those victories were not without battle scars. And that's the reason why I thought, you know what, today I'm just going to come and do this update and give you guys a picture of what has been happening behind the scenes, just so that, number one, it can be a source of encouragement to those people who are in their valley seasons, to know that we've all encountered these valley seasons. Like, for every victory, battles were fought. Some of those battles left dents that people may or may not be comfortable sharing. But today I'm going to be sharing some of my behind the scenes with you guys to balance this narrative, okay? For those of you who have followed me since January, you know that the year 2023 actually started with me walking away from a job that I really like. A job that I had been on for almost 4 years. I got to the point where I had to make the choice. It was either move or my sanity was at stake. Guys, I wish I could go into all the details, but I can't for obvious reasons. But I had to choose me. The first time for as long as I remember, it was like me and my career were on opposite sides. I had to choose me, and it meant letting go of that job. It was a tough decision. It was a tough decision to make, but I was in a very poor place mentally. At that point, I tanked. I really tanked mentally. And for the first time ever, I found myself going to talk to a doctor about how I was feeling mentally. I had to get help. I had to get intervention, like, because my mental state had tanked seriously. So here I was, starting a new job at the lowest point of my mental health ever. But thankfully, I have a lot of support with my new leaders. I feel human with them. Like, I'm not afraid to be vulnerable, and it's not affecting the quality of my work, thank God. So yeah, that's how my year started. And you guys know that at the beginning of the year, I was also a student. I was studying while switching jobs, while dealing with this poor mental state. And guys, it was not funny at all. You know, funny how in all of that, in all that time, YouTube gave me some kind of escape. That's why I didn't stop posting here. It was like every time I sat in front of a camera to talk to you guys, I felt a burst of energy. I felt like I was renewed every time I sat down here, and I was not being a disappointment to you guys. Like, I was not vanishing from my duty post, because you guys come here every Sunday to come and watch me. I don't want you to come here and there's no video. I just felt like there was a sense of obligation that I had to you guys, and I had to continue to post videos, which is why I didn't stop. But it gave me energy, it gave me some kind of zeal and the push to keep going. And then I graduated, of course. That was a relief, and graduating with a distinction was like, it was like compensation, like God was trying to compensate me, even though I knew that it was not the work I did in one semester that resulted in the distinction. But it was just it was a nice reminder that in all of this, like, your hard work is paying off. This is the reward of your hard work, so don't stop trying. So that was very good. And shortly after that, YouTube Accelerator came, where I was selected as one of 20 creators across Canada to participate in the YouTube Accelerator program, and that has been amazing. Like, the learnings from that has really helped me change my perspective on a lot of things. I have not even fully maximized everything that I learned in that program. If I do, you guys will see the difference. But a lot of work is going on to create some structure around what I do, just so that I don't feel the way I felt predominantly in 2023, where it was like a lot of things revolved around me. So that was very good. And then while Accelerator was ending, the losses came. The losses started happening. Well, before that, we moved into this house. Like, we bought this, our second property, moved into this new home, and then the losses started to come. You guys know that towards the end of the YouTube, in fact, the day I was graduating from the YouTube Accelerator program, somebody who was like a second mother to me passed away, and it was tough. You guys, I did not show you guys the half of what was happening behind the scene with that loss, but it was tough. You know, it was tough for me. It took me down a place that I thought I had healed from. It was my reminder to be gracious with myself, that grief does not have a timeline. Grief does not have a timetable, that by this time you must be completely healed or nothing. You know, it made me more conscious and more sensitive to the things that could pass as triggers, because that woman, my best friend's mom, passed away under very similar circumstances as my mom. So it was like it took me back to the point of when I got the notification that my mother had died all over again. So I had to go through that. And guys, it was not funny. It really wasn't funny. It was tough adjustment. I still, in all of this, I still had to show up as a mom. I still had to show up as a wife. I still had to show up to work. I still had to show up here, because what would my mother do? That's kind of what I kept telling myself. What would my mother do? But man, at the point where I needed to take breaks, I took breaks. And that's the reason why I would send you guys messages to say, I'm sorry, there cannot be a video today. Sometimes it was technical issue. There were times where I just did not have the zeal to show up for any of this. And guys, it was not an easy position to be in. After my best friend's mom passed, I was at the funeral when we got notification that my brother-in-law had passed away as well. So not only was my husband dealing with just consoling me and helping me walk through that process of dealing with the losses and all the memories of my mom, he too now got sucked into into the same cycle where it was like he was dealing with the kind of loss that none of us had experienced before. So it was like new terrain. I was hurting, he was hurting. And sometimes in a marriage relationship, when you're not very expressive, when you're not very forthcoming in what's really happening, there's a higher tendency that both of you, instead of turning to each other for support, will begin to turn against each other. Because he was like, I'm hurting, you don't understand what I'm dealing with. From his point of view, it was like, I'm hurting, you don't know what I'm dealing with. At some point, it was like we were both hurting, but we were trying to manage how we were feeling for the other person, and ended up turning against each other instead of turning to each other. So it was like our losses, our hurts began to clash, and it just started to create tension between us. And you guys, that period was very confusing, very, very confusing. Eventually, we got to the point where we both cracked and we both had to talk about it. I just did not know how to express this side. Like, how do you come back and express that 6 years later you're hurting? Your mother that has died 6 years ago, you're hurting afresh today. Sometimes it's hard to explain, you know. There were days where I got so overwhelmed, I would cry out and say, I want my mommy. I'll call my siblings and act drama and just say, today I want my mother. And they'll look at me like, what do you want us to do? We should go and resurrect the woman 6 years later and bring her back for you. But it was tough. That period was tough. And I was not afraid to feel what I was feeling, you know. So all those, in the midst of the wins, there were battles going on in the background. That's what I want you guys to take from this video. As if all of the emotional roller coaster of dealing with all of these things was not enough, there was a cancer scare. So in January, I went for my routine, normal yearly checkup, and my pap smear was abnormal. For those of you who don't know what a pap smear is, it's like an examination of the cervix to check that it is presenting properly. It's measured against certain benchmarks to make sure that, okay, this is how a normal cervix is supposed to look, and they compare to make sure that the cervix is appearing the way a normal cervix should appear. the first pap smear that I did in January was abnormal, and the recommendation was that I should repeat it in 6 months just to be sure that there was nothing going on. 6 months later, in the month of July, while some of these losses were already ongoing, I went for the second pap smear, and guess what the result was? Abnormal. God. So you have now had 2 consecutive abnormal pap smear in 1 year, and then I got referred to a specialist. I got referred to this specialist. I had to go and do a more thorough examination of my cervix. The process was called a colposcopy, where they insert like a camera to get a closer up close view of the cervix, and then they took a sample of the part of the cervix that was presenting as abnormal to go and do a biopsy. So a biopsy is basically to test cells to see if it is cancerous or whatever it is that's going on. And the 6 weeks wait to get that result was the longest 6 weeks of my life. Oh God. First of all, I am already aware of the things that I am predisposed to genetically. The devil played with my mind. Like, it became a conscious battle every day to take charge of my mind, to speak what I wanted to see, to take control of the thoughts that were running in my head. Now, my heart goes out to everybody who is battling any form of cancer. This is not trying to be insensitive to you. I was just recognizing where I was in that moment and not putting myself in a position where something was going to trigger me. So it was scary. It was a scary 6 months, I'm not going to lie. 6 weeks rather. I had the best support, my immediate support system. Some of my friends are going to hear this for the first time and they'll wonder why I didn't say it. It was just, at some point I thought about it like, yes, we're praying, we're trusting for like a positive outcome, but I also did not want it to be fear mongering. I also wanted to manage that I was not emoting my fear on other people in the name of just telling them how I was feeling. So it was a lot to manage, but I had support. I had good days, I had breakdown days, I had days where I'm like, you know what, let me just go and update my will. I don't care what comes out of this, I'm going to live. And guys, one day before I went to Ontario to collect the award, it was in this period of waiting, I think it was just before I went to go and do the colposcopy, I realized that I had gotten this award. So I was battling positive, negative, positive, negative. I was using the positive to encourage myself at the times where I felt really low. So it was one day before I went to Mississauga to collect the award that I got the call from the doctor, and you guys, my heart sank when that call came in. And I picked the call, and guys, I'm fine. The test came back negative. While they were doing the colposcopy, the doctor also we talked about it, and we agreed that we're going to do like a HPV swab in the process. So HPV is like the virus that can cause cervical cancer. So we did the swab to test for HPV as well. That test came back negative. The colposcopy came back clean. There was no explanation for why my pap smears were abnormal. I asked questions, what can I do differently? You guys first know that I like to talk. I asked all of the questions possible, and the doctor was like, they have seen things like this happen. Anyway, long story short, I am fine now. 2023 has been a roller coaster year for me. Even though I've been sharing the wins, I just wanted you guys to know too that there have been battles going on and God has been helping us. I'm constantly reminded by the outcomes that God has been with us every step of the way. So for everybody who seems to be in their valley season where it seems like all you're doing is fighting and you're not seeing victories, hang in there. Your story is not over. You're still alive, which means that there's still another chapter of your story. So please hang in there. Don't get discouraged. Be very careful what you are looking at. Like, social media can be very deceptive. If you're judging your behind the scenes using other people's trailers, don't forget that trailers are edited. Everybody has behind the scenes. Everybody has. So please don't compare your life with what you're seeing on social media. That's the edited version. That's the refined version. Not everybody is telling you everything that is happening per time. And I can understand why people don't do that. Sometimes you don't want to talk about things when they are happening. You want to be able to talk about it in retrospect, to refer to the process and then the victory that you have gotten, like exactly what I'm doing now. So it's not, the intention was not to deceive anybody. No, I felt like some things were my personal battles to fight, and I would share it when I'm more comfortable in a better headspace to share it. That's what I'm doing now. So please don't compare yourself with anybody's life, especially on social media, because the pressure can be a lot, and sometimes some of the things you see are not real. Another thing that I like people to take from this is to please take your medical checks seriously. For those of you who, because of genetics, you're already predisposed to something, don't sleep on it. Like, check, ask questions, and when you go to the doctors, ask questions. Like, just don't, because sometimes you find, I don't know if it's the volume of patients that doctors have to see. Sometimes the doctors can come across as if they are minimizing your concern, but insist, ask questions, insist on certain things. There were some tests I was told to wait 6 months to do. I'm like, no, let's schedule it now. At the end of the day, it's your history. If anything goes wrong, you're the one who's going to bear it. For women, if you're not started to do regular pap smears or scheduled pap smears, you have to start to do that. Pap smears, together with all the other screenings that are appropriate for your age, please start to take those tests seriously. Prevention is way better than the process of cure. For men, the tests that you're supposed to be doing at certain ages in your life, please take them seriously. Put your house in order. Like, for those of you who don't have life insurance, you have to start to think about life insurance. If you're already in Canada, it's not even optional. It's not optional. Life insurance is not luxury, it is a necessity for you to do it. Whatever type you choose, if you're doing term life or whole life or whatever it is that's appropriate for your situation, please begin to consider those options. If you don't have a will, you guys, in that 6 weeks while I was waiting for pap smear results, I updated will, back and forth with my lawyers, go and sign new updated copy of my will. Like, my head was not playing games. At that point, when I was waiting for that result, the hustle did not matter. I did not think about how am I going to get the next job that will pay me more money. I didn't think about how I'm going to invest in the next property, or how I'm going. All those things didn't matter. For me, it was just it's my house in order. What do I have to do? What if this test comes back and it's not the result that we're hoping for? What is the journey going to look like? If I'm going to be away from work, how does that work? Have we saved enough? Do we have a buffer? Like, I started to think about all things except the hustle, you know? So yeah, let's not wait until we come to the point where life forces us to stop and begin to think about those things. My head played tricks on me, basically. So if you don't have a will, I think it's a great time for you to put something down, put something on paper. If you have one, it's time for you to look at it and make sure it's up to date, it's accurate. Anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to come share with you guys today, just to remind you that you're not the only one who has struggles. We all do. Our stressors may look different, but everybody has their struggles. And for anybody who's going to watch this video and think, oh, this thing is just negative. Somebody said, oh, that my videos have been very negative lately. If that's what you are taking from the content I've been sharing to tell you that, okay, things are changing in Canada, make the appropriate adjustment. If the conclusion you are taking from it is that I'm just coming here to come and intentionally be negative, then you're really not ready for reality, and I can't help, really. So please watch what you're comfortable with. If you're looking for videos that will constantly excite you, you're more than welcome to find those content and binge on it. But for me, I will not come here and deceive anybody. I will paint the true reality of what's happening, whether it is good or bad. Well, thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two from it. For those of you who have come out of difficult seasons and you're comfortable sharing, please do well to share. I promise I'm going to try to respond to the comments. If you guys notice that that's one area I've been slacking in lately, and guys, all of this that has been going on is part of what contributed to that. Like, my response time to comments and emails slowed down because of all of these things that I'm dealing with. I'm fine now. Like, that season is behind us now, and things are going to stabilize better from here onward. So if you're comfortable sharing, please leave that comment below and we can talk about it. Thank you again for watching this video, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, thank you and have an awesome day. Bye, guys.